Hello, this is Let's Make It. This is a show where we show you how to make things. We focus a lot on electronics and small CPUs like Arduinos or Raspberry Pis, but we do cover overall electronics and other things, and just the fun part of making things. Just the fun part of making something that actually works. That's what this show is all about. We're not big into the showy stuff and stuff like that. We just like to show you how things work. We do record this show every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, at 6 p.m. Pacific, or 1 a.m. UTC. If you're watching live, you can come join us in the chat room. It is go to tech-n.tv and click on live, and you can get the chat room. And we like to interact with you that way. We can get a two-way conversation going. So we'd like to interact with our users or with our viewers. That's a great way for us to get feedback from you. We are preparing for season 3 of Let's Make It. Season 3 will actually start in November, and we will be changing a few things around with Let's Make It. We're going to add a few more pre-recorded segment type things, like larger build project type builds. And I have a bunch of stuff like that already recorded. And I don't know if we're going to wait till November to actually start showing them, because we're starting to build up quite a few of them. But I've been doing quite a bit of different builds, and I've been putting it all on camera, and I have stuff to show. And even some old things I talked about, I've gone a little bit farther. I'm actually going to show some things tonight from one of the projects, just the pieces of it, but I'll have a video for the whole build. So that's what we're going to keep covering, like what we do now with Arduinos and Raspberry Pis, and we have requests for BeagleBones. So we may start messing with some different stuff as well, but we're going to keep down that path. But we're going to start throwing in some larger builds where they're to the point where it takes a while. I couldn't just do it in the show. So that allows us to record things that we're doing ahead of time and then show it to you in proper sequence, and all edited down to fit in the time of the show. So I'm normally joined by my co-host Bob Powell, but he's not online, and that could all be totally my fault. We have been actually off for quite a few weeks. Last week when I got here just before showtime, and I had no internet, so I couldn't do a show last week. And by the time I tried figuring out what everything was going on, it was like 10 o'clock, and I didn't tweet it out. And so I've been really busy with some other things outside of Tech-N TV. And it just keep me really busy for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And between that, the time and Bob and us and things going on with Bob, we never had a time to do a show. So it's been a few weeks before we have a show coming up. But like I said, we already are planning for the next season of shows at Tech-N TV. And at the end of the show, I'll talk about some of that stuff as well, because we have some new things coming on as well. So I am watching for him to come on. So if he does come on, I can bring him on the show. So it might just be me solo tonight, and actually be a fairly short show. I do a few things to show and talk about some of the projects I've been working on, some things that I've gotten since the last couple of shows that we've done. So I'm going to start out with this. So what I've talked about in the past about building a beehive sensor system. So that's coming along quite well. I have a solar panel. I built and this is all going to be in a video and in a segment later on. I built a PVC stand for it, basically, and mounted a waterproof box to it. And it's kind of far away. So it's powered by solar, because there's no power down where the beehive is. And it's probably 100 yards from the house. So it's a little far away for Wi-Fi to work. So I ended up having to go and buy one of these. And I don't have a product camera tonight. So as you notice, I'm in a different part of the studio completely. You see my messy desk in the back. In fact, I'll talk about what some of the stuff back there is a little bit later, because our studio's been used for other things. Like I said, it's been crazy. But anyways, it's so far away, I had to get a Yagi antenna. So this isn't attached yet to the box. It's something I'm probably going to do in the next couple of days. And I'm actually using a Raspberry Pi as the central controller for that. So here's the Raspberry Pi, and I got a USB Wi-Fi adapter to plug in the Raspberry Pi. It came with a little stubby antenna, and I couldn't go very far from the house before I lost signal. So I ended up getting, this is a 16 dB gain Yagi antenna, and I'm going to mount it on the beehive. And I haven't tried this yet. I haven't gone that far away. I know this one did not work with this little stubby antenna that far away. I've already tried that. No signal at all. So this, and there are some small Arduinos. I actually have a shield. Well, they don't call them shields I want to call them for Raspberry Pis, but I have a board coming that will attach to this, and that's how we're going to communicate between all the different sensors. That you can have multiple beehives on this one controller all working through, all sending data to this one controller. And it's using CAN bus, so it should be a pretty robust protocol. It's the first time I've really done anything with CAN bus, but it's pretty simple overall. So I've built a board, a CAN bus board for this, and then I've taken the Arduino Mini or Micro, I can't remember which one it was, and built a board that it plugs into that board, and on that board is the sensor inputs, the plugs, all that kind of stuff, and it also has a CAN bus chip on it, so we can wire the CAN bus in. I went that way because there's no lights on that Arduino. No, there's only one. It's pin 13, and it draws a lot less power. So since I'm running off solar and I have a solar battery and all that stuff, I wanted to keep it running as long as I could. And it's wintertime up here in the Northeast. We don't get much sun, so it's still going to be an experiment to see how well it works. Now, I actually bought a waterproof box, which I didn't bring it over. I'll do that. I'll show you that during the actual build because I already got video of that. But the box can handle 2 batteries in it, and I only have 1 battery in it. So the potential exists that I can expand the box if I need to put an extra battery in it. So that's that. Here's something else that I've gotten recently. This was a Kickstarter project, and actually there's 2 pieces to this. This is the first piece. This is electric paint. So basically it's conductive paint, and you can draw circuits with it. So this is the expansion little pack. What came though was this. And let me get it out. It's gonna be kind of noisy getting it out probably. It's called a touchboard, and it's from Bear Conductive. This was I remember it was Kickstarter, Indiegogo, one of the two. And I just got this like in the last week, and I haven't had a chance to play with it for any long period of time. So okay, so here's the first thing they gave you. This is what came with it by default, was this little tube of conductive paint. But in the box that's right here, again, sorry I don't have a product camera. And the box is really nice. I mean, it's a nice box. The instructions are printed on the box. There's a board in here, and this board comes pre-programmed. This is the board. So this is touch sensitive. So if it touches, you touch this, it's capacitive sensing, so it knows what you've touched. And let me just tell you what it says. Some of the things are E0, which is right here on this end. E0. If when you touch it, it'll say the words hello. If you press E1, I think it says E for electrode. I haven't plugged it in yet to see what exactly it says. E2 I think says audio and power. E3 is switching sounds. E4 is green for go. E5 is reset button. So I have to go through and figure out how all this works. But basically, it allows you to program the things that when you touch them, they make sounds. They play sounds that are on this little card right here. So you take this card out and you load it up with the sounds you want to play, and you gotta name them the same way. But it is an Arduino effectively, so you can reprogram it. But what it comes with is just basically a player. And I think that's basically what it's designed to do. So like I said, I haven't gotten into it in great detail. I just got it. Reading through the basic instructions that are on this little sheet here, I got the impression that all it did currently is just play sounds. I do see the amplifier and everything that's on here. So again, this is Bear Conductive, and I'll bring this up in another show. But I just got it this week. It was a long time coming. I think I've had it waiting for it for quite a few months, if not a year. So speaking of that, and this may explain a little bit about what's going on, the mess behind me. So I'm actually this week out in where the producer and the switcher set. So I'm sitting here. I can show you kind of what it is. This whole area here there's a soundboard, the switcher's right here. All the monitors are in front of me. So in the other room is where we normally record the show. However, in the other room is kind of torn apart because we're doing some projects in there for other people. We did some green screen stuff, so we take down some of the walls, and tomorrow we're doing audio recording for a group. So we got a bunch of things going on in the other studio. So it's just been keeping us busy, which is also part of the problem with everything, acting up kind of weird. But anyways, behind me, way back on this side, you see those boxes back there. Looks like a major mess. That's actually a 3D printer. I ordered I invested in, I should say, because Kickstarter, a 3D printer called Ridgidbot, and I got that last Friday. So that's been well over a year since I invested or gave them money, and I finally got it. So it's sitting back here. I got it put together. I do have a couple of little problems with it, and I have to take it open for them to get some parts replaced. most particularly the heat sensor for the nozzle is not working. So the software says something's wrong and this won't do anything. I can trick it. Since it's all written in an Arduino, and I basically went in and said, just ignore that. The default temperature of 0 is still okay. Just to make sure that the printer itself's okay. And it did function. I didn't print anything because I didn't want to burn up the nozzle by having it on all the time. But the motors all work and everything works from that point of view. And I'm having a problem with the LCD too. A problem that I've had with the LCDs with garbage displaying on them, doing things even for this show. So I sent them a picture of it. I'm not quite sure how I haven't looked through all the schematics and everything, although they're all open. They're all open source stuff. So the schematics are available, so I could go out and look. But other people have complained about a similar problem and said they had plug problems. So basically opened a ticket, and hopefully they'll fix it up for me. All right, so one other thing I've gotten, and I've had this since the last couple of shows, but I keep forgetting to bring it in. This is, I'm sure everybody's aware that's into the Raspberry Pis. The new Raspberry Pi is that. This is Raspberry Pi Model B version 2. And the big difference is, a couple big differences. First of all, you have 2 more USB ports that are on this side. The other thing that they've done is they've added more GPIO. So it's the same chip. They just provided the ability to get to more GPIO. They have changed, first of all, this plugs on a different side now. And they've changed a smaller audio plug right here. And they've moved what was on the back side, which was the mini or the micro USB, moved it to the side. And the big thing, and this is probably the thing I like the best, is they've changed it from a full-size SDHC card to these minis. Now, you think, well, the minis are a pain because you got to use a little thing to plug it into your computer and use it. Yeah, I agree. From that point of view, the thing about these is they actually snap in and click in, and it won't come out. So you don't have to worry about something yanking it out by accident. Well, I just did that, so I take it back. I thought I stuck it in there. I mean, I didn't get it the first time. I mean, I'm pulling it pretty hard now. So anyway, that's supposed to help keep it stuck in there. And yeah, I don't know, maybe I didn't get it in the first time. If I yank it hard enough, I can yank it out. But it's in there a lot. There it goes. It's in there a lot better than what it was with the other one. So I may have to think about that a little bit. Maybe I don't like it as much. Because the full size Arduino, like this one, or I meant the Arduino, but the Raspberry Pi had these big memory cards in it. So they've sized that down as well. You can kind of compare the two. You also will notice there's no analog video out. Well, actually there is. It's in this plug. This plug has, instead of being just a stereo jack, it now has video in the plug. So they've moved that into there and saved some space. So you can kind of compare the two. There's this way. There's the ends. You see I got something plugged into it. But, it's overall, it's the same size board and everything. It just laid out differently. Has more USB, which is good because so many things are USB. If you think about it, if you plug a USB camera, I'm plugging a USB Wi-Fi, and you want a keyboard and mouse, so you need more plugs. Some people were just plugging in like a USB bus or a hub in here, and that seemed unnecessary if you had a space. So they did some nice improvements with it. I don't know how long this model is going to be around, but they're the same price. For when I bought them, they were the same price. So I don't see there's much difference in price. I just go this one. There's no additional speed or memory increase in this model. It's just a different layout of the same components they had before, a small memory card, things like that. So I have that as well. So what else did I have here? I think that may be all I had. Like I said, very short show. Bob's on online, so this thing can be only 15, 20 minutes, something like that. We are going to do a couple things a little different. Let me do this. We are going to start doing some call-in stuff. So let me go over to our split box right here. Oops, split box. So we have a call-in number, and we've had it for a while. We use it on other shows, and we're going to start doing it on this show as well. So, but I do want to talk about some of the things that are going to be changing. Let me go back over here. In the near future. So we pretty much have decided that our season starts in November. It's kind of when we originally started doing our test shows. And we've kind of been lax the last couple of weeks because of everything that's going on. So we're probably going to go to a point where we have like a month or so off once a year just to prep for the next year. So we are prepping for season 3, and we're doing it for all of our shows. We're already working on episode ideas for Mac Minutes and Security 101s. And we're going to start re-recording the new episodes in November. So I have a list of things I want to do on this show as well. Plus I have larger builds that I'm recording that I want to do as long in that process as well. So Bob and I need to get together and talk about some of that and who wants to do which ones and all that stuff. So that's where we'll start working that out. I'm just now sitting down and going through the creative process to figure out what else we want to do. We've had questions about Bluetooth and communicating with an iPhone or an Android phone I've had it to both Arduino and to Raspberry Pi. We have a couple people that I'm working with right now that are making robots and using Bluetooth controls from a PS3, so things like that. But what I like to do is get the people to do those kind of projects, get them to record a video or come on and show us what they've done as well. So I want to start bringing in more people from the outside to get more involved in the show. That's kind of some of the things we're going to change a little bit in the new season. The other thing in the new season we got to try to do is stick to an hour. And that is because we're now starting to get some other people that are playing our videos. And it's just for them, for people who are scheduling videos, we've always been random time. We talk as long as we need to, and then we're done. And that causes a problem with people who have an hour time slot to fill or whatever time slot they provide to us. You know, if we can say we're always an hour every week or we're always 30 minutes every week, whatever it ends up being, it's easy for them to do a schedule around us. And as that's becoming more and more popular now, I'm actually having to edit for 3 different places. In addition to our show, when I get done, I got to re-edit it to its exact length. So I'm throwing in either an old Let's Make It or a couple other Mac Minutes or things like that from us to make it equal whatever time slot they need, which is typically an hour because we sometimes go over some of our shows. In this particular show, it can go up to an hour. We've been over an hour a couple of times. So I'm going to start paying attention to that a little bit more. That's something that we don't pay attention to a lot because we just talk as long as we have information. But as we're starting to get into more of a produced format, so it's a certain time length, that's going to start changing. We probably going to start trying to do that a little bit sooner than November, even just to get practice at it at this point. We're also going to revive a couple old shows. Security Decoded is going to come back. Dennis and I will bring it back. We're going to start bringing in some outside guests. John is not going to be with us this time. I mean, he's maybe on as a guest at some point, but the two of us are going to bring that back. And we're also going to bring back Church Technology. We're going to bring back a couple other shows like that. We're thinking about bringing back in a totally different format, New Media Tech. And we're talking with some other people about that. So, you know, and we have a couple other cool shows we want to bring on too. So this comes in and I also want to put this out there to people who watch our show or are interested even in podcasting or teaching people things like that. We have, like I said, we already have some other cool shows. If you don't watch our other cool shows or other shows, you probably go out and check them out. They're almost all at the end of their period for this year. So we have 4 more shows for Security 101. The Mac Minutes are done until November, so they'll coming back out again in November. So, but as a kind of looking down, we're also looking for hosts for some other shows. We have some new shows that we want to bring on. So, if you are interested in ever being a show host, or, I mean, here's the thing. I don't look at a show host as being a radio personality. I don't like the personality. I don't mind the tech pundits. I do their own podcast, but that's not what we want. We want somebody who's been down in the trenches and works with it every day, and knows what they're talking about. That's what we want. We don't want to produce a show like somebody else is already doing, like a Leave the Board or something like that. We want it to be like the real person, and so we're looking for show hosts for like that. But some of the things that we're looking for, we're looking to do a home automation show. We're looking to do a show on Unix. So I think I might have a host for that. I'm not positive yet. I haven't heard back on that one. Maybe something on 3D printing, and we'll have a couple other ideas we're throwing around. So if you're interested in ever hosting a show, something like this, let us know. You can co-host it or host it. On the other side of it, we're also looking for some producers. So producer schedules guests, puts all the content together, helps to. A lot of times the hosts are providing the content. They just put it into Google Docs for us and rearrange it or things like that. It's pretty easy, really, if you like communicating with people. The hardest part's, getting guests, but you just got to ask them. That kind of thing. So just at the point where I can't handle all that stuff myself, and as I'm getting busy with other projects, looking for some hosts. I will say that none of these things are paid. I don't pay Bob. We're all just volunteers. We don't really make that much money, and most of the funding for like the servers and things comes out of my own pocket. So at some point, maybe we might change that around and look for sponsors. But at this point, we're not even looking for sponsors. If one comes, I probably won't turn them down. But I'm not going out and advertising the fact that we are sponsors. So everything's kind of volunteer, I guess is the way to put it. So, all right. So before we go, I do want to thank everybody because this show has grown tremendously. I know we haven't been on for a couple weeks, and this week I think is probably my communication failure with Bob. That is why he didn't get on. But this show is still growing. We look at our downloads. This show is tremendous on our network. We're still getting between 20 and 30,000 downloads a week, and even without new shows, the old shows are still being downloaded. And we're getting a lot of emails. People are finding us. I'm not exactly sure how they're finding us. Some of the times I wonder, but definitely a lot of it's spreading the word from people, and that's how we hear so and so sent me this video, and I have a question about it, things like that. So I do want to thank everybody for that. Just a reminder, you can get all of our shows by going to TechZen.tv. Our show notes are there as well. Of course, tonight's show notes, since I only had like 3 or 4 things to show, won't be real big. I'll put some links in there to the products I talked about and things like that. But you can also get our shows. It's on YouTube as well. But any of the podcast directories should have us. And if you find one that doesn't, please let us know, because it's we want to be everywhere. And it's just one that we missed or we fell out of. Either way, you can get us on a Roku. We have our own Roku app. You can go on Roku, search for TechZen TV and install the app. You can watch us all the time. In fact, on the Roku, you can watch us live now as we do our shows as well. We've added that recently, and we have in the App Store, not approved yet, a TechZen TV app as well for the iPads. We haven't gotten the iPhone one done yet, or haven't done the Android, but we're working on that slowly but surely. That's coming along. Let's see. I'm just going to say, be sure to check out all the other shows on TechZen TV. And come on back. We'll be up here next Monday for sure. I have a couple of segments that I have almost completely edited that I probably will play if I can get Bob if Bob's not available. But he typically is available on Mondays. And again, since we haven't had a show for a while, we haven't been communicating as often as we should have been. And that's my fault, not his. So we'll try to get everything worked out for next week. So this week's show is, that's it. It was that quick. And sorry for last week. I didn't tweet out that we weren't having a show because I thought I was having a show until I got home and realized I didn't have any internet. And then working and trying to figure out if it was me or Comcast, the time went by, and then it was at 10 o'clock, and I realized, oh, I didn't tweet out. I wasn't going to go live because I was trying to go live. And I got home a little bit just before the show, so I didn't have much time to figure it out. And then trying to figure it out, I just totally lost track of the time. So sorry about that, but we normally do tweet out. If you follow TechZen TV on Twitter, you'll know if we're gonna have a show or we're not for this show. In fact, for all of our shows. And as our new shows start coming online and some of the older ones start coming back up, we'll be exactly the same way. We update everything on Twitter. All right, so again, short show. Sorry for all the confusion. We are still here, and we're coming back strong in November with a whole new layout of the show, or not so all new. It's just a little different, but with more stuff, more larger segments and builds and things like that, like the beehive monitors. I'm gonna go through the whole process of what I've done as far as the boxes that I got, and the solar panel and the solar charger and the battery, and using the Raspberry Pi and the Wi-Fi antenna. I'm gonna go through the whole shebang. We'll have the whole thing out there. Plus, I'll go through the 3D printer build, which, it came as a kit with hundreds and hundreds of screws. It's probably the most complicated building or assembly of something I've ever done in my life. I've assembled a lot of things. And this was more complicated than the quadcopter, although probably better documented than the quadcopter, but a lot more little parts that had to go together, and sub pieces that had to go together first and in certain orders. The quadcopter is kind of open source, and you can look at it and kind of see where things got to go, and kind of figure it out on your own. But I would think that it was probably the most complicated. And it looks great. Like I said, I can't get to print anything because I don't have I have a failed temperature sensor. But all right, so let's call it quits for a short week of Let's Make It, and we'll see everybody next Monday. We'll just say we're going to see you next Monday. And to my knowledge, we're going to continue to have shows until the new season starts. We'll just be doing little things until we get the big list of things for next year ready to go. And like I said, next year we'll plan on like a month off prior to November, so we can start planning for the next season of shows and start changing things around. There are a few things actually I can tell you about that too. You can't really see it in here, but over here, I used to have my electronics. But basically, there were 2 desks that were like a workbench. I built a workbench. I recorded that too, as a segment of how I built a electronics workbench. But what's going to go here is actually another. I'll call it a set. It's not a set necessarily. It's a radio style studio, but it's going to be green screen wrapped. So for things like this, instead of me sitting here and you seeing the whole empty room behind me, I could sit over there in a green screen, and I could even put the brick wall up that you're used to seeing, and you'd never know that I wasn't sitting in there. But it's more designed for another place I can go, because, like I said, that studio right now is torn apart because I've had projects in here for other people. I tore down the walls because I needed the full green screen for a project, and tomorrow people are coming in to record a song. So, I mean, it'd be nice if I could just go over there and sit down and bring up the green screen and replace the back, and I'd just be sitting here like normal. The other thing is some of the shows where I have just like maybe even security coded, where it's going to be just Dennis and I probably in studio. We could just sit over there instead of sitting, in that brick room, and our guests will all be remote. Or we could sit in the brick room. We haven't decided how we're going to do that, but just gives us some more options to do it in a radio style. It also sits up higher, which is a little more comfortable for doing some things. I probably want to necessarily have a product camera over there like I do in the other studio, because that's up in the trussing. But that's the kind of thing we're doing over here, and I'll do a little video of the build of this too. It basically is a 4x4 desk that sits at 3 feet high, so it's a little taller. You can sit on a nice chair, sit up a little bit like this, a little more comfortable than just sitting down at a desk level and stuff. So that's another thing that's going on. I mean, it's lots of things going on. That's why we've been so busy and distracted with other projects, because I have a bunch of other things. Plus, I've had a water leak. I've had to fix the drywall and all that stuff too. So I mean, between all that stuff, we just haven't been able to connect for a couple of weeks. But as the cold temperature comes in, that starts putting us back inside a lot more, because I am not a cold weather person. Living in the Northeast is not my favorite place to live, just for that reason. I mean, I like the Northeast, but I don't like the cold. So I'm the wrong place for somebody who doesn't like cold. So we'll start getting a lot more focused on our shows. And these last couple of shows we've had are kind of wishy-washy. We're like, well, what are you working on, or what are you working on? And we're a little bit more planned out. I'm starting to plan that out a little bit more. Like we did when we first started in the beginning of the year. We knew what we were doing. We knew what we had on a list of things we had to get done or wanted to do. And we throw things in the middle there sometimes, or add new things to it based on viewer questions and things like that. And that's all. That's how we're going to do it again, is very structured. However, we do want your ideas and your questions, and we'll throw them in there with it. Or maybe that has us to push one of the things back a week or move it around a little bit, things like that. So we still want it to be a show of things that you want to see. Obviously, we wouldn't do it just for ourselves, because that's no fun. I would like get your feedback on things you want to know. And like I said, we've gotten a lot of questions about beagle bones here recently. I've gotten 2. I got the thing from the PS2 the PS3 controller controlling a robot, which I'm working with somebody on right now, and those kind of things. So they're great. I'm getting 2 to 3 emails a day right now. Now, some of them are coming from my MikeMyers.me blog, which is fine. It's just that Bob doesn't see those, so he doesn't know all that stuff. I try to remember to forward them on, but I'm bad about remembering that kind of stuff, because I'm going through so many things at one time. So anyways, let's just call it a show for this week, and plan on coming back next Monday at 9 p.m. For show notes for this show, contacts, and more, go to the techzen.tv website, where you can get show notes for all of our shows. We love to hear from our viewers and listeners. We have an email, a Twitter, and a phone number where you can contact us for each show. For details, visit the techzen.tv website and get the show details. You can also make a video and upload it somewhere like YouTube or Vimeo, and then just send us a link. You never know, you may see your video in a future show. You can get all of our shows delivered automatically to your favorite device by going to your favorite podcast website like iTunes and subscribing. Each of our shows also has a YouTube channel you can subscribe to get regular updates. Our shows are also available on most internet radio networks like Stitcher and TuneIn Radio. You can also watch and listen to our shows on Xbox, TiVo, and Roku. You can even find us on your Zune.